So we're going to run a full VO2 test today. The objective is so you get a real insight into how we're going to run a full VO2 max test. Keelan is going to be testing with us today. We're going to make sure that we have all his data inputted into the machine before we start, and then we'll get him hooked up with heart rate monitors and masks before we initiate the process of getting a calibration done on his profile. Once we get that calibration done, we'll take him through a warm-up, which will lead into a progressive overload till absolute failure, which you'll see as this video goes on. Right, so one of the most important aspects, or one of the things we need to monitor during testing is heart rate, obviously from a safety aspect, but in order to create the zones that most people come to us to test for. So a heart rate monitor can be fitted on the floor right beside the treadmill, or if you're more comfortable fitted in the changing room, that's absolutely no problem. If you're inexperienced fitting the heart rate monitor, depending on the gender, we can get an instructor or one of us to go in and fit the monitor with you. So we're going to fit the monitor on his skin. Lift the top for me. So what we want is that the heart rate monitor is just dead center of the chest. We need to make sure that it's tight and that it's not too uncomfortable for us. Feel okay? Perfect. All right. So that's monitor done. Very, very simple. We won't need to touch that again. Next, we're going to fit the mask. Now, based on experience, I know that this mask is going to be right for him. If we have different size faces, which we naturally will, we have different size masks. So we have a one-way system, oxygen in, waste out, nothing back up through the tube. And we will highlight the fact that there will be a bit of heat generated in the mask, but you're completely safe. The valve will work constantly, and we'll have your oxygen supply or your oxygen parameters on the screen at all times, so we'll know if there's anything going wrong. So we will take a bit of time and care to make sure you're comfortable, but we will highlight the fact that it's not going to be the most comfortable thing in the world, because we need it to be tight to be accurate. And unless you're a fireman, you're not used to running with masks on. So we'll always get the client to hold the valve dead center of the face until we have it tight. We'll get it hooked up. I won't let him to release it till I'm happy with it. So we'll run a couple of tests on the mask to make sure both the valve in and the waste out, so to speak, work. So breath in, Keelan. Breath out. Next time it sucks to your face, breathe in. Perfect. So we know that the mask is tight then. If at any stage during the test you want to move the mask, you can physically move the mask by controlling the blue part. We would ask you to refrain from touching the actual valve, and the headgear can be manipulated if you want to feel better. However, it's going to be up to us to know what the position is going to be, where it's going to be working the best. So if you were to pull the headgear down, I would correct you and not allow you to do it. I'm happy with the headgear. We're tight. There's no gas escaping. We've ran our tests on the mask. We're ready to go. So he's going to stand still for the next minute. So Keelan is ready to go. He's hooked up with the mask. We can see parameters on the screen starting to come up. We're going to get an establishment of resting heart rate and baseline oxygen levels, and then we're going to start the test. So it's about a minute of doing absolutely nothing. So calibration complete, we're ready to go. So we're going to start him walking nice and easy. So us as testers will control every aspect of the test. We're going to start walking nice and light. So the speed at which you'll start walking will be dictated by your tester, and that's going to be based on the times in which you can run. A bit of brief explanation for the client in regards to being comfortable on the treadmill, focusing on what is center, where the stop button are. We'll explain that to every client. Keelan's experienced enough on a treadmill, but if you are inexperienced, we would be able to talk you through all the processes. So what we're going to do, it's progressive overload from here. So there's no rest, there's no recovery. Every single minute it gets more difficult. That's my job. Your job as the tester or the client is going to be just to match what we're doing. So awkward pace, just a bit of getting used to it. So what we've done is we've brought his speed up to 8 kilometers an hour. Now everybody that comes into us is going to have a different ability to run or walk at a certain pace. So we don't have to get you to jog at a particular minute. This is about you being comfortable. So if you wish to jog at 6K, 7K, 8K, 9K, that's completely your call. So Keelan is running at 8K an hour. In 35 seconds, we'll bring him to 9K an hour, which will get him more comfortable. Now's the time we'd explain to the client as well about position of the treadmill. So on the treadmill, we have a blue enter sign, which is center. Number 5 is center, and the R and U are center of the treadmill. So do pay attention to them if I ask you to get center. Give me a thumbs up, you feel okay? Come on. So 15 seconds away, we're going to 9K, which will get him a bit more comfortable. So in terms of position on the treadmill, for those that are inexperienced on a treadmill, we'll make sure that you're very, very comfortable. We have a number of parameters or a number of points on our display unit that we can get you to focus on. We also have an RPE scale, which is a rate of perceived exertion, which is a feedback loop for us. And then we know your position. So these treadmills in West Park are big treadmills. You're in no danger of coming off the back, and we will highlight that to you. So I'd rather people to be slightly towards the back than towards the front. Up the front, you can hit your feet off the front, you can hit your hands off the front, and it can just become uncomfortable. But your safety at all times is of utmost importance to us, and we'll make sure that we run this test from start to finish with no hiccups. So during the test, we will have a number of different parameters on the screen. The one that's going to look at from a safety perspective is the client's heart rate and current VO2. So we're going to have a progressive overload. We've numerous different graphs that we'd flick through and trend tables that we'll look at to analyze data. But the main thing that we want to focus on is making sure his heart rate and his VO2, or the client's heart rate and VO2, are consistently rising. We're going to bring your speed up, thumbs up, happy to proceed. So small increase here, an inflection in both gradient and speed. He's well able, 9 minutes into the test, looking very, very comfortable. 15 minutes, 14 minutes into the test, bud. Pressure's on, mask is warm. Keep focused. Center the treadmill, thumbs up, happy to proceed. Good man. So we need to make sure the client's safe at this point. He's under pressure, he's running a 4-minute kilometer on a 4% gradient. He's well able. Keelan, dig in. Psychological doubt will now start to come in. You know you can do this. Mask is warm, but that's no issue. That's only because ventilation is high. Oxygen utilization is the highest it's been. Dig in, stay strong. Right, so I'll take this. Wait, lock gets back on. Right, when you're ready, lift yourself on. All right, black box, keep it close to your chest. So test is over. Client had requested that he stops, so thumbs down to signal that he wants out. So next increase would have obviously pushed him too far. What we've done is we've got him back walking straight away, mask taken off, active recovery for 2 minutes. So the black box on the tube is going to monitor his heart drop, which is live on the screen. You all right? Yeah. Well done. Right, so the test is done. The actual active recovery is now done as well. When we're on the floor, it takes about 2 to 3 minutes for us to get the data printed, and we'll give the client the option if they want to keep walking. We'll also give the client the option if they want to keep walking to go through the results. So many times we'll spend just at the side of the treadmill while the client walks and cools down, but it's completely your call. If you wish to stop straight away, you can. Keelan had water with him. We have a water fountain just around the corner. So this is all about the individuality aspect, but the test has been run safely. There's no issues at all. We have his data on the screen and it's just ready to go through with him now. So the journey for you as a client would be, once we've gathered your data and printed it off, we tend to go up to the office and we'll go through all your individual data at that point. Right guys, we're back in the office with Keelan. He's just finished his VO2 test. So if you were coming up to do a VO2 test, we'd come in here to go through the data. Keelan's case is slightly different. He tested with us 9 weeks ago on this marathon journey that he's on. So the whole objective today was to reassess the numbers in order to give them to Brian Swaby, the running coach. So Keelan's thoughts leading into today, I presumed you thought your zones had gone up. Upon retesting, we don't necessarily look at VO2 as a number because the training that we're doing on a marathon journey isn't stimulating that VO2. So how do you feel the test went?
I was really happy with it, yeah.
Yeah?
Felt good, happy with threshold increase.
So what happened was Keelan's threshold went up. So that's what we want to see. So in a marathon training program or an endurance program, we want that heart rate to elevate in order for you to be able to run faster for longer. What's going to happen now is his speed work's going to get very spicy. So the increase in threshold and aerobic function means that he has to run harder on his easier stuff, in theory, if that makes sense, because we've increased that aerobic function. But your harder stuff,
it's going to get very hard.
It's going to get very hard. So 9 weeks in on first training camp, another 21 weeks to go to Dublin, massive increase in performance in what we were looking for, and we're going to get him back in another 10 weeks. So people are asking, why are you testing so regularly? This is the reason we test so regularly. Because of the fact that his zones have now increased. If he was training on his old numbers, he'd be using old data that would be understimulating his profile. So you're happy overall with it?
Yeah.
Solid 9 weeks?
Yeah. 10 beats per minute difference, so it's a massive difference in the pace I'm going to be actually
It's
running.
about 1 kilometre an hour faster aerobically, which is a phenomenal increase in such a small time frame. So happy days.
Stick to the plan.